Access Communications presents To the Survivors, When Boys Cry. Written by Biola Olatunde, inspired by the book To the Survivors by Robert Otaro. Hello, welcome to the series. I am Biola Olatunde. You will think that the depravity now so endemic in our society is perpetrated solely by men against the opposite sex. You could be wrong. This story today will leave anyone with any sense of morality cold and shuddering. I remember being asked if I could have the liver to listen to these stories and the nerve to tell it as it should be told. I have sympathy for my friend Robert when he wrote the book. He is also sponsoring, in a large measure, this series. I understand how sickening it might be to see the underbelly of our civilizations and humanity. My rationale for these stories is a prayer to us all to please have a rethink where we are headed as creatures of the Creator by whatever name we understand Him. Last episode, we talked about what is rape and our understanding and invited listeners to please send in their comments. We would just like to read one comment from someone who listened as the program was going on. Good day, ma'am. I listened to your program on radio moments ago. It feels good to hear from you again. No matter how long we keep talking about this issue of rape in our society, my belief is it will not die down except our government allot stiffer penalties to those caught in the act. We might have to blame some parents too for not playing their role, but not absolutely. I would love if you can invite the stakeholders involved, like the police, our legislators, Ministry of Women Affairs, and others in the subsequent editions of the program. Ade Abidakun from Akure. Mr. Ade Abidakun, we would like to thank you for sending in those comments, just like we want to remind those of us listening, all of us listening, to please send your comments to 0803-472-3894, and we'll do everything we can to try to see if we can follow what you have asked us to do. Today, we'll continue with our series, To the Survivors, and the title once again is When Boys Cry.
And he lay me amongst the lilies of a beauty and...
Are you still reading there, boy?
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
What did I say about reading those stupid poetry? Come here.
Please, sir. Please, sir.
That must be some nightmare, Aki. You were whimpering and begging.
This is private property. Have you heard the word knock, Greg?
I knocked. Thought the sounds you were making were some babe was getting a wake-up meal. Ya dig?
Here.
There's no babe, and only one door leads to your bedroom.
Okay, Sherlock Holmes. What do you want this early?
No stories. Why were you grunting in your sleep?
Greg! It is my grunt and my sleep. What do you want?
Okay, Aki. I think you can talk to me, you know.
I
will listen.
There is nothing to talk about for the last time. Just...
I need those musical notes for rehearsal today.
Bring your flash drive and I'll copy it out for you.
That's it, my boy.
Don't you ever call me that, Dig!
My throat. Let go. You're strangling me.
Greg, I'm sorry. Just a bloody flash from the past.
Yeah, I am the present. When you're ready to share, I am here.
I am okay, thanks.
I am your friend, Aki.
I am cool. Don't push it, okay?
Next time, put a sign by the door, will you?
Huh?
Nasty dog, keep out.
Yeah.
Boys are allowed to cry, you know.
Nice try. Near the bathroom. Close the door after you.
am Inspector Edwards. May I see Mrs. Robert?
Hello, Inspector. What brings you to my office?
Mrs. Robert, I did not see you immediately.
How may we help you today?
We are looking for Akin Blunt, ma'am.
Why?
Someone tried to castrate his uncle and he is in the hospital.
What?
Is Akin around?
No, but I'll send for him to go to his uncle. But why castrate a nice man like Uncle Bola?
We will soon find out.
We gon' settle when everything is not well. Girl, me carry gentle. No other girl with me act well. Two of us like pot and kettle stool. I just can't tell why you fight and we wrestle. I saw the wire. Me get the fire. I saw the wire. And the girl got the fire. If you not give, I no go take go. Only your love I appreciate. If you not give, I no go take go. Baby girl, let's relate to what she sings to. No kissing, babe. No touching, babe. No kissing, babe. And don't call me, babe. No kissing, babe. No touching, babe. No kissing, babe. And don't call me, babe. What else?
You're listening to The Survivors on Breeze 91.9 FM. To The Survivors, a program on rape, sexual violence, and domestic violence. It will come up every Wednesday from 12:15 p.m. to 1 p.m. on this station, Breeze FM 91.9. Tune in, send your messages, be one with us. Rape is a stain on humanity. Let's stop and act against all issues of rape.
Akin, why are you sitting at this restaurant?
I don't want to see Mrs. Roberts or my uncle.
Oh, that is interesting. Why?
Greg, I know why Mrs. Roberts sent for me and I know what has happened to Uncle Bola. I wish I had really castrated him myself 12 years ago when he raped me and continued for 4 more years since then. He is the nightmare I have every night. I discovered he was transferred here and he does coaching classes for young idiots like me.
Ish, Samankos, raping boys?
Greg, it is a long story and it is the reason I have not been good at handling my relationships well. I even tried marrying, tried to see if I could like boys. I threw up just thinking of touching another human being. He had a smell about his privates that has remained in my nostrils. There is the smell of his rarely washed body. Each time he raped a boy, he would refuse to bathe for weeks because he said he liked the aroma. Sometimes he would invite my friends to the house. I lived with him because he paid my school fees. I don't want to castrate him. I want to kill him.
Jeez. Ish, I had no idea that was what made you so remote.
I was simply scared of being physical with anyone.
I know. You have to come to the office, you know. Mrs. Roberts wants you to know. She understands.
And Inspector Edwards?
Has picked the man who castrated your uncle. He is the uncle of one of the boys. And the boy broke down and confessed what had been happening. Actually, I heard the man wanted your uncle to eat it.
Aha. Nice. Nice.
The world has gone crazy.
No, Banji. I think we now know more. Information age and all that.
To molest boys who see you as a father figure and even rape?
Do you remember Adeboye?
What is the matter with him?
He has STI.
Impossible. He's only 10. Who told you such ugly lies?
Adeboye himself. Stop staring. He did not know it was STI. Just complained about difficulty in passing urine and his mom brought him to me, thinking I could just recommend a medication. I invited Adeboye to talk to me privately, and after a while, he broke down and said Okon, his friend's brother, used to stick something into his privates and would keep rubbing his privates. In short, they have been having anal sex. He was told that since it was bone to bone, he was safe.
Has the Okon been arrested?
According to Inspector, we don't have evidence to arrest him. I am so puzzled. When a girl is raped, she's given a rape kit. Do we now give a rape kit to a boy too? What is the world coming to?
That is a good question, you know. What type of first aid do you give a boy?
They very rarely report the incident, except one is able to reach out to them. Look at the case of Adeboye. His mother did not even suspect what was happening until I got the boy to talk. A simple case of a lost football, and I discovered he was molested, had been in that state for a while.
What can we do as a society? Just fold our hands?
We can talk, support, allow those who are being molested a chance to talk, and we should never victimize, blame, or stigmatize.
Listening to The Survivors on Breeze FM 91.9. We can talk, we can hold hands, we can decide whether we have a society that is only interested in making money. We can decide to victim blame, as we had in the last episode. We can stigmatize. We can do everything, but the right thing is, what shall we really do when a boy is raped? What is the evidence that he can take to court? As usual, I have my panel, Barrister Toyin Odunayo. She's here to explain to us the legal aspects of this. I also have Kunle, we call him Kunle Gold for short. His other name is Ludex. Then we have Greg, the Jamaican or whatever. I don't know which country he comes from. But we have today Shegun, Kunle, and Benedicta. You must be finding it very strange. Have you ever heard of a boy being raped, Benedicta?
No, I haven't.
What will you say when you hear that a boy has been raped by another boy?
Imagine a boy has been raped by another boy. If it was that a boy had been raped by a lady, you could say it was
she was asking for it
or something. But by another boy, the first thing that comes to my mind is the other person who did the raping. What was his intention? Was
Rape.
he deprived of something?
No, he just wanted to rape. Why are you asking me dumb questions? He wants to rape and he is just raped.
Maybe he was deprived of a lady or something.
So you should go and rape another lady, not another boy. Barrister, welcome to the program, To the Survivors. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to The Survivors, where we talk about rape issues from whatever sex to whatever sex. Same sex, opposite sex, as long as the person being raped has not given his permission. Barrister, this is a story that has been long in its making. A boy who has grown to be a man has no evidence you can talk about, because you guys are always talking about evidence, and he was molested, raped by his uncle, and the uncle is some kind of a coach, because Aki didn't tell us what it was. Aki is a fictitious name we're using to cover a real story. Please, what happens now?
In case of a rape,
A boy to a boy, a man to a boy, can that person be prosecuted?
yes, if the case is properly proved,
Hey,
can be
I'm tired of hearing this proof stuff.
convicted. But I doubt if there is any judicial precedent on the issue of rape of boy to boy
Or man to boy.
or man to boy.
It's something new for us in Nigeria.
It's not new,
Hey,
but it's not really being reported. As you have said, most people just keep quiet, and most of our laws, we have a very good laws. They are good, well
thought out.
prepared. But the problem with our laws is that once it is not brought out from the shelf and really utilized, we cannot know the lacuna, the shortcomings in those laws.
I thought lacuna was some kind of milk.
No, lacuna simply means a shortcomings, a gap that a particular thing did not address,
Like a loophole.
like a loophole. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, what do we do in a situation where the law is kind of hamstrung? They can't do anything because they have not been able to prosecute successfully, or even had a reason to prosecute issues of rape against young boys by either bigger boys or men.
During the last episode, this current episode,
Yes.
there was this the last statement that what can we do? Somebody said we talk, we inform.
We don't
people.
victim blame and all that.
So the first thing to be done is to speak out, as we have said earlier on. Speak out. Then I believe if there is any hurdles, when we get there, then we cross over it. The law is very powerful, and as I have said earlier on, that the laws that we have, they are good laws. They are well prepared and well drafted.
Justice
not
denied
until-
is justice ignored in the case of Aki, who has been raped consistently for 12 years by his uncle. 12
Recently.
years.
Do you know, recently I was very happy when I listened to the case about a popular American.
Bill Cosby? Yes. I will have Harvey Weinstein,
I
who
was
is there.
happy listening to, not because the old man was convicted, but because a very old case, somebody who has been molested a long time ago could come out and she could successfully prove the case of rape against that old man. I believe the incident happens a long
Yeah, in the 70s.
in the 70s. I think there we still have a lot to do in this side of the world.
Can there be a law that can take retroactive action against boys who have been molested by men or bigger boys, that can bring justice to somebody like Aki?
Law retrospective effect
Yes,
of
a
the law.
retroactive. That is, you can go back to when it happened, even though the law is made like tomorrow. Aki can still hear about it and decide to prosecute his uncle who escaped castration.
What I will say is that whatever is going on in our mind, we should speak up. Let's put it on trial. If there is any societal problem, it is the problem that begets solution. If there is no problem, there is no solution. Let's speak up first. Let Aki get a very good lawyer first, and let his own side of the story be taken down. Then let's start something.
But
I
you just
believe-
said there has been no precedent of a
let's
conviction
we'll start from
somewhere.
somewhere.
Shegun.
Start from somewhere.
I find this very interesting. Have you also found any issues about boys being raped by boys or men?
Well, I've heard of such cases, like the one I mentioned the last time we had this conversation. I stayed with my uncle and the family while I was in Lagos. They have 3 boys, and they had like a relative staying with them. So the next time I went there, I asked about relative naturally, that where's this guy? And then they told me that, well, they discovered that he was actually molesting the boys. It's not a strange thing to me. I've had a friend who had such interest too when I was in primary school. In fact, I can say that he was the one that exposed me to that reality when I was much younger, even though I personally find it abhorring and abnormal. But I know the world we are in right now, they are working towards making such relationships normal and cool. Well, that's their business. Me, I choose to stand aloof and say I don't take that. But where it now comes to the aspect of actual molestation and raping, like I said,
It's a red line.
Yeah, people that actually do that to me are borderline crazy. They have mental issues. If we don't want to lie to ourselves, we'll know that they have a problem and they need help. It's a mental case that needs rehabilitation, that needs to be treated, because it doesn't make sense. Number one, for me to even picture you being sexually attracted to someone of the same sex is like, I mean, for real. Then to now take it a step further and now go to the extent of molesting, as in raping. I don't get it. I can never get it. My mind can never fathom it. Basically, that's my personal, and I'm not afraid to bear my mind on that.
Nobody's asking you to be afraid. The idea is nobody should be afraid to talk openly and honestly about how they feel on the issues of rape. Now, there is the story that a young boy was playing football with his friends and they lost the football and he was asked to go and get it. A friend of ours shared the story with us. And when he went inside, it took quite a while for him to come out because an older boy was sticking the chairman of his local government, his third leg, his penis, into his anus. And this had been going on for quite a while without the knowledge of the boy's mother. And so when the issue was raised, the mother was busy defending and being angry that my son is not that kind of person. It turned out that him and a couple of other boys about his age had been introduced to anal sex by a 14-year-old boy, who in turn had been introduced to it by a 24-year-old boy. It's a vicious circle. You don't expect an 8-year-old boy to understand anything about sex. But he's been practicing that now on himself and some of his friends for some years now.
Yeah.
Kunle, what do you think?
Well, let me start by saying there is this particular saying that says the bad becomes good when the worst happens. You know, when you hear about a man raping a lady or a girl, then you feel like
That's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. A man with a man, it's so weird. And you know, the way things are being configured now, things are getting bad every time. Things cannot even be predicted. Things are unpredictable. So, and when this kind of exposure has become so rampant, then you cannot predict any child maybe going on the street that maybe he's not exposed to something like this. So when something like this has happened in this kind of society, you're perplexed, you're puzzled, you don't know what to do.
I want to also understand something. I'm not particularly interested in the sexual orientation of the people concerned. What I'm interested in is the essence of the fact of having sex with someone against his will. I am not a psychologist. I don't understand what will make a man like a man or a woman prefer another woman. It's not in my forte, and I do not understand that, and I do not want to pretend to understand that. Neither am I making a comment either for or against on that issue. The issue we're looking at is the anonymous story sent to us, and we decided to use the name Aki to sort it out. How does he get relief legally? What has been the effect of this kind of lifestyle? Like he said in the dramas we did, he is afraid to manage any form of relationship. He's afraid to manage a relationship because he is scared. He thinks maybe he even smells, and so he avoids relating because the uncle that had always molested him will not have his bath for days. Can you imagine how that would be on a young boy's mind?
Before the lawyer comes in, because they are the experts. They are the learned
counsel.
We are just ordinary human beings, so to speak.
Yeah.
For me, I think one of the things that helped someone like me, basically, is the fact that I had a solid family. My parents are still together, been married for so many years, and their support growing up and the exposure I had helped form who I am today and my attitude to such things. Because the reality is, at some point in time in my life in primary school, two of my friends had actually made attempt to do that to me before, and it was strange, it was funny, and I fought them. Fortunately, I was well built right from that time, so I resisted with everything in me, and I went back home to tell my mom. And of course, my mom, being a natural Yoruba woman being, it was in those days when,
Tied her
when a
gele,
woman
yeah.
removes the gele around the waist, you know that
There is
yes,
war.
there's fire on the mountain, and the matter was properly
Sorted
addressed. Yeah, you know, sincerely, I'm just remembering now because I put that it's not something that affects me or has affected my growing up, because I mean it was just an abnormal. Many people may not have the kind of strength or the kind of support that I had, and that made me overcome it and all that. And that is why I particularly like the lines that Mrs. Roberts read in the just concluded radio drama. The fact that we need to support, we need to hold hands, we need to let these people feel loved and know that there's nothing wrong with them as they grow. It's terrible, basically. Now, those were like age mates, basically. Now, imagine if it was someone older that had, you know, more strength, and I wasn't expecting it, and I was not this aware at that point in time. But fortunately, I was able to overthrow two people. One was like my age mate, the other one was a bit older. What's this? Are you guys for real? You understand what kind of play is that? You know, in my mind I thought it was just a play, so it's now I'm growing up to see that okay, there's some people that are like that, because naturally at a young age
You don't want to assume that they're like that. Somebody may have turned them into that kind of persons. Those boys may have been victims of molestations themselves.
Yeah,
they take it into themselves,
that's what I'm
internalize
saying.
it,
what
and
I'm
that's how
saying.
they work
That's-
it out.
That's where the difference between myself and them
Comes
up.
in because maybe your own parents were very free with you, they talked openly with you, so you understood what was coming and you could defend yourself. Aki, by the name we call him, could not defend himself. So
Yes.
Barrister, how does he get comfort when you understand and you have said you don't know how to prosecute because you don't have a precedent, it has never been done, we're not even thinking about a conviction. We know that in some religious bodies men also abuse boys. And it took a while before the Catholic Church came face to face with an issue of it, and they've started doing something about it. I understand the Pope has said something positive and determined about it. But we're talking about Nigeria. Incidentally, we're talking not just about Nigeria, we're talking about this town as an example. The stories we shared with our listener is a true story, but like we said, we have fictionalized it so that the person's privacy is protected. But as a lawyer, what do you think Akin, I'm sure he's listening right now, what do you think he could have done? What is the protection of the law? How do we understand parents, guardians to their children or what? How does the law ensure that these parents are not under the guise of being parents or guardians abusing the responsibility they have been given?
Thank you very much. The issue of rape of boy to boy,
Men to boys.
men to boys.
They're actually called
insist-
pedophiles.
Pedophiles. I still insist. Now it's been brought to the open. It is no longer new. And parents have taken it upon themselves to begin to educate. Don't let man touch you. Don't let another man touch you in a private way, this and that. It's a new and a good development. But I want to talk about the word stigma.
Yeah.
The word stigma is what is actually making it difficult for a victim or a survivor from speaking out.
Speak it out.
The last episode on the issue of
Rape.
rape, if not that the lady found herself in an helpless situation where a third
Somebody
party
helped
had
her.
to help her out, that matter may not have come
Into the open.
into the open. So I want the issue of stigma to be taken out of the issue of rape, the blame trading.
Victim blaming.
Yes.
And the victim is too ashamed to talk.
Ashamed to
Yes,
talk.
I think we should start looking at that. What do you think we could do, Kunle? If, just as a hypothesis, if you were acting actually, even though you acted the role now and you felt so disgusted, if you were actually acting in its real form, what will you have done?
Well, to be sincere, if I were Aki and that thing actually happened to me, number one, he said, I don't want to castrate him.
I want to kill him.
Like, I would have to dip my hands into the law, and if it would take me to do something else, something against the law, I don't mind. You know, when someone like that is in that kind of situation, he's desperate. He
Yeah,
can
because
do
he said
anything.
that he couldn't take the smell out of his nostrils fully.
So psychologically he has been traumatized, and the action that will follow that trauma
I don't think he cares anymore.
He doesn't
I think he
care.
must have got to the end of his line when he sent us that story.
So if I were to put myself in that shoes, then
You will kill him.
Well, I don't mind since
Psychologists must first work on him.
He needs a support system. He
Because-
must be willing. There must be a place where victims, survivors of rape can go. They must have a sense. Yes, they must have a sense of confidentiality. They must be able to feel safe. They should be able to enter into a clinic or a house or whatever.
I want to speak outside the scope of the law.
Yes, please
Now.
do. Please do.
Because recently I took up a course on social work.
That's good.
Yes, and that enables me to really understand some of these social problems and how to solve some of the social problems. You know, Akin, with that kind of exposure, has really been battered.
Yeah.
So before he can really know what to do, he has to be taken care of psychologically. He has to be referred to a psychologist.
You know how we think in Nigeria. When you say we're referring to, they say, "Oh, you are mad."
That's why you even
Is as simple as saying, "Oh, you are mad." You say, I should go and say psychologist. Don't even make it worse.
I'm really-
say psychoanalyst. They say,
I'm really
it
sorry
means
about
you are arrow.
Do you know that even those that are bereaved, they need
They don't need psychologists, so that's how they would tell you, no, we don't need a psychologist. I know I lost my husband, or I know I lost my wife or my mother, and I know how to handle it. I show where
and actually
properly.
they don't really handle it well.
Oh, well, that's a different thing.
And eventually it now returns back to them, but they don't even know that they are now suffering
That's
some
Akada
of
talk as far as they are
depression.
concerned.
There are some NGOs that are really into working against a form of emotional.
Disturbances. The bottom line is this: how many boys, men, the time we are telling the story, Akin is about maybe in his 30s now or in his 40s. Like he said, he had tried marrying, he had tried a relationship, it did not work out. So we have a lot of crippled, emotionally crippled
That's what I'm
human beings
saying.
working around.
That's
He
what-
is not going to walk to a psychologist unless he finds out that there is a place that will ensure his confidentiality. He can walk in, he can talk one-on-one to one person, be sure he's going to be supported.
Do you know why I'm saying all this? Aside the course on social work I talk about, I also happen to be on the board of some NGOs
Okay.
that I know do things like,
So will you suggest we tell Akin to come and
if
see you?
Akin come to see me as a lawyer, the first thing I will tell him to do, if any rape victim comes to me as a lawyer, as I am, the first thing is to refer them to the hospital. Let the normal test to be done be carried out. Then after that, the next thing I will do is to let the person see a psychologist.
May I impose upon you to please give us your number and ask anyone who wants to talk to you in private, who wants to send you a WhatsApp on private, to please see you in private. We're still talking to the survivors, and our time is going close to the end. Like I just said, I'll invite our barrister to please join our team in ensuring that anybody who feels you want to talk about a molestation by your uncle, your auntie, whatever, and it has to do with sexual molestation, please send us a WhatsApp. We'll pass it on to our barrister. If she doesn't mind, she'll also like to tell us her number so that you can send it to her on WhatsApp. What we want is no phone calls, please, so that you don't hold up her time and you give her the opportunity to be able to get back to you. You can talk more when you're just typing it out. You feel very shy, you think you're already identified when you have to now speak on the phone. But for any other issue and all other issues too, please reach us on 0803-472-3894. We will always be willing to treat your issues just like we are treating Akin's case now, in a situation in which he knows his identity is protected, and we're looking at what can we do as human beings. Shegun, you have some last words you want to share with us on this issue?
Well, we need to share more love, basically. That's just what I'll say. Because if you love people, you will not want to hurt them, you will not want to harm them. So it's important that we'll let one love keep us together, like Onyeka Oweno sang in that particular song. One love keep us together. Let's leave that out, and the world will just be a better place. Thank you.
Okay, barrister, I give you an invitation. You want to pick it up? Give listeners your number, how they could call you to share their problems as far as rape or rape issues are concerned?
Yes, they can as well send message to the number shared earlier.
Okay, my
and
number.
with the attention of.
Okay, are you getting her now? She says, send your text or information that you might need so that we still keep this private. Please send your text to 0803-472-3894 and add attention barista. I will know what you're talking about and I will make sure I pass the message across.
I wake up, I see you as you leave. I feel it, I see it as you leave. When we kiss, I went deep, but you're far away. Bibande, bo bibancho, fibisile. Bibande, bo jobaro, fibisile. You used to be my everything. Treated me like I was a queen. What spell did it cast on me? Or was it a make-believe? You say, girl, never be afraid of ever, ever loving me. Those words I hung on to. Oh God, I was a fool. You became my bad habit, keeping up appearances so you could notice. When you suddenly picked the things and left the keys, that was crazy. Bibanje, bibansho, fimisile. Bibanje, bojobaro, fimisile.
This program has been sponsored in part by Robert Utaro, the author of To the Survivors, and other friends as well. I would like to thank everybody who has come on this program. Please don't forget, we are here to talk, to share, and to contribute into making life a little bit better than yesterday. The Lord is perfect and He intended you to be happy. Whoever has molested you, please know that the inner strength to succeed is always with you. Like they used to say in some of the Star Wars program, may the power always remain with you. Well, we have come to the end of this particular edition of To the Survivors. I would like to give thank you to Robert Utaro, who believed in this program and did as much as he can to support the program in terms of his time and money. I would like to thank Oluwaseun Olajorin for being the hand on the button, peaceful, patient, and enterprising for all the time we spent together. I would also like to thank Fumi Olasogba, the executive producer of this program, for believing and deciding that we're worth celebrating and giving us the opportunity to come on her station. This is Biola Olatunde. I'll see you next week.